Join me in welcoming Thukten Yeshi to the podcast. This time, as part of the Bodhgaya series, we discuss his book, The Monk Without Dharma. He published that book about 6 months ago, and we already had met virtually and had a podcast about this, the upcoming publication. But now that I've read the book, and that he also is timely in Bodhgaya at the same time as I am, we thought, well, we can make a review of the book and a conversation about the book in real time. I hope this review will encourage you to get hold of the book and read it. It's a very genuine, it's a beautiful story, fiction in a fictionary country, but actually isn't. In the sense, it could be really a modern book about navigating the path into Dhamma. Let's go straight into the conversation. Thank you for being with us. And if you haven't done so, may I kindly request you to subscribe to the podcast and share it with whom you think might appreciate a simple podcast where we hold simple conversations, things that are close to our heart. Thank you so much for being with us. Welcome to Dhamma on the Sidewalk, insights, interviews, and practical tips on the teachings of the Buddha for people of all walks of life, attuning, exploring, integrating the teachings in everyday life. Simple Dhamma for daily life. I'm Asoka, hosting Dhamma Capsule for people like you. Thukten, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Asoka.
In Bodhgaya. Isn't that very timely? I'm very happy to meet you.
Yes.
We met virtually online. Was it like almost 6 months ago? Five months ago.
August, September side.
Yes, August, September. As you had just published The Monk Without Dharma. That's your first novel published.
Yes.
How did it go since then?
It had a very slow start. I had one distribution going globally, one through Amazon, another through Ingram's Park. Then I also had a limited number of copies, author's copies for Bhutan. That was being distributed only in Bhutan, while the global distribution was slow. The distribution in Bhutan was actually quite rapid.
You've been very active in Bhutan about that, yeah.
It was not only that the book, all the copies were sold, but also the reviews that I received were all extremely good. So that was quite something for me, really unexpected in a way. Then now I have started the regional distribution in India and Nepal, supposed to be for the whole of South Asia, but just now distribution is happening only in India and Nepal, and the reception is as good as is in Bhutan, so both in Nepal and India, except for slight distribution problem in Nepal.
I have to say, it has a very promising future somehow. Maybe it has a slow start here and there, but having now read the book 6 months later, I thought that it's a very unique and genuine book because it really brings you in the background to have some aspect of Bhutan that some people know about the Dharma in Bhutan, but it's not taught, it's not written as per classical sutra and Dharma book. It's written really, you could also almost say that it's like a modern story, you know? So how did you come up with the two characters being so so lovely and so. Both of them are lovely, but obviously, Tompo, the main character, as being, I mean, somehow the center character, it actually draws on to compassion.
Yeah.
How did the process of this book come to you, and how did you?
The process of writing this book was really technical. I think in our earlier interview, I told you, like stories are born in two ways. The first one is that stories come to you in terms of story concept, character, or even a scene, or even a short dialogue from where you go on to develop a story. The second way is that you decide to do a story, either as a commission work by certain individuals or organization, or you decide to do on your own. For this one, the Monk Without Dharma, it began in the second way. The story didn't come to me. Instead, I went looking for the story. I wanted to do a Vajrayana Dharma story for international market. So I had no story idea, just that objective to do a Vajrayana Dharma story for international market. So based on this, then I listed the parameters for the stories. The first thing I said, the concept should be very unique and very unique and enchanting. That it should have that Himalayan Vajrayana feel. Then second thing I said was the plot should not be simple and straightforward, but it should have layers of storytelling. Then third, I said the subject of Dharma should not be straightforward, a classroom Dharma teaching, but the subject should be woven into the plot. Like how, from Tompo, from no Dharma to, going beyond Dharma. Based on that three parameters, then I started toying with the story idea, and I think initially I came up with, I decided to have two characters. One, a brilliant, a Dharma scholar, a brilliant mind to whom Dharma comes naturally. Other side, I wanted to have a character who not understand Dharma teaching, will have difficult to study. No matter how hard he studies, he will not be able to study. So then I had these two characters. Then the next stage for me was, then I said, who should be the main character, the protagonist? So first I considered the brilliant guy. So I thought if I made him the protagonist, he would go on to, be that brilliant mind. Dharma will come to him naturally. I would be able to show the entire Vajrayana part, that all the philosophy, how things happen. I thought this was going to be so powerful. But then I realized that even though it will be a wonderful story, very exciting, it will not be something extraordinary. It will still be that normal part. So then I considered another character who would not be able to study Dharma, but somehow as a protagonist he will have to get beyond it to the end. How does he reach there? So then the concept I got was something like on a thematic line, saying that a journey without path. He will not be able to study Dharma, but he will somehow make it to the end. So that concept was quite captivating to me as a writer, story creator. It was also fitting within my story parameters, because it would be something unique, something not seen even in Himalayan Buddhism. So something different, something extraordinary. So I decided to make the second guy the protagonist. But then the problem was, would this be possible? Even theoretically, can a person who cannot study Dharma, reach that level. Like it was an immense task which would require a lot of research, but I decided to do it. And then I also decided, I will not make traditional hero versus villain. Instead, I will have both the characters. The person, the young man who would not be able to study Dharma, he would be the protagonist. Another one would be not exactly a antagonist or a villain character, but because in storytelling you will have to have two opposing forces. So then I decided to make it traditional, conventional versus unconventional. So the Kathok character, who is a brilliant guy, he would go on to become the Dharma prodigy. That everything will come naturally to him.
And there's a lot of conceit in him as well, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of conceit, no arrogance, but conceit. It's like he's expecting things to happen in a certain way. Also, and he also comes from, if I understand, he comes from a very wealthy family.
Yes.
And he has also the conceit of. He also has a conceit of whoever can be coming from that and has facilities.
Yes.
Even in the study.
Yes. So after this, like you said, I had to build character in a certain way that it should fit into the narrative. He also has expectations. He wanted to be someone, while on the other hand, the Tompo character, the protagonist, he just wants to study Dharma. He just have that
he
yearning
has
for
so
Dharma.
much devotion to study Dharma that it's like this drop falls onto him one day, and he said, that's it. When I hear Dhamma, my whole body goes, my whole mind is, but I can't get it. It doesn't stay with me. He's a very genuine human being.
Yes.
Very genuine.
So now, to go back to the story plotting, then, I decided to do that way, but it was really difficult to get the story going, from no Dharma to Dharma. Because I had needed to have understanding of Dharma. I researched. Still, I didn't get anything to propel my narrative to move the plot forward. So then I decided the simple way would be, I think I need to have the story going. So then I decided, first thing, like you said, devotion. So I used devotion. So I just plotted their stories. So initially I used for Tompo, the protagonist, for him to move, I used devotion as the, how do you say, the factor that would propel his story forward.
Factor, yeah.
But then,
and it actually does. When you're reading the book, you can sense that it starts really from nothing, but the devotion is already there because the father is telling him a story about the past, about the karma, and then the father passed away, the parents passed away, but he kind of has this almost instantaneous devotion, but he also learns to let it go.
Yes.
Because he has so many obstacles. Journey without path.
Yeah, journey without path. Then, but like I said, one of the parameters was that, the subject of Dharma should be at a very advanced level, at a level of Tantra. So then I was researching. Then I came up with that concept of using, I don't know if it's the right terminology, but what I felt was, researching on Dharma, I realized there is this thing, aspect, something like the science of the Dharma, how we take it for granted, for example, a rainbow body. We understand as if it's something unexplainable, the power attained by the practitioner. But if you look at it properly, it's very scientific how the rainbow body happens. So then I use that kind of concept to build, Tompo's progression from no Dharma to going beyond Dharma. By living his life, he reaches a stage where you don't need Dharma. The practitioners have to leave Dharma behind because ultimately Dharma doesn't exist. So that one I had to research quite a bit and get through that process of how it happens, living his life truthfully. Even while writing, I had to keep, because that goes at the heart of I think emptiness, how the evolutionary process of
Yeah, it does.
But I managed to fill that gap using how do you call the theories of Dharma?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a book that not only teaches about Dharma, it also shows that really 2 or 3 aspects. One is that it teaches about Dharma, but in a very subtle way.
Okay.
That you don't really need to read and study a lot.
Yeah.
You can actually get it if you start to trust your journey.
Yes.
And then somehow also, if it's meant to be, it will be, because he can't get the intellectual knowledge.
Yes.
It doesn't enter to him. He's kind of forced, but his behavior is totally Dharma.
Yes.
Selflessness,
Yes.
humility, serving, having the devotion, and somehow he gets so many people to help him on that path. The obstacle, somehow it's his own mind. He's putting himself, he puts himself in the position of interpreting even too much his obstacle. I'm stupid, so it doesn't work. But also on another hand, it also shows there are a number of factors in the Dharma that facilitate or block your advancement.
Yes.
So they said that there are some qualities that are good to develop, behaviors and patterns that you need to try to let go of it. And these 2 characters, they kind of have these 2 opposites. So one is very wealthy and has a bit of conceit, quite a bit of amount of conceit, and the other one is totally humble, comes from a very poor background, doesn't even have robes to change, and even goes to the Lama, doesn't even have the money to go and offer kata and make offering to the Lama, which is also part of devotion eventually. So he really doesn't have anything. So there's humility, conceit. On the side of the conceit, there is maybe the intellectual capacity to understand Dharma, but he doesn't even showcase any willingness to put effort into doing things in the monastery, while the one who comes from the Tompo, the one who comes from the poorer background, doesn't have the Dharma intellectually, is always ready to serve.
Yes.
Is very selfless, and is also has this humility that actually opens door.
Yes.
So he gets help from people, while the other one serves on a path that seems to be already traced by the parents. He crafts his path somehow. So the journey without the path becomes the path, and then he meets individuals at some point who actually show him that, like this lama, this old lama who lives in the mountain, and say, if you go in this direction, you're going to the golden mountain. If you go in that direction, you're going to the silver mountain. And if you go in the other direction, you're going to the diamond mountain, something like this. And he goes, oh my, which mountain shall I go? And it also says in the teaching, somehow when you meet the Buddha on the path, you just kill it. So it means you kill your ego. You let go of your ego and just go. Just take one. And then his life completely transforms. So he evolves as well, but remains humble until the last moment. There is a lot of Dharma. And then on the third side, as you say, at some point he develops emptiness, the concept of emptiness. That you don't need to have all that baggage. You're creating it, and at the same time, because you create it, then you don't have to carry it anymore. It's not a baggage anymore. I think it's a really brilliant book, that it would be somehow a good Dharma book for those who want to understand how simple it can be to just follow your bliss, somehow follow your heart, follow your selflessness, and let go of
everything.
Let go of of attachment to what is being created for you.
Yes. That is exactly, I mean, like how he transcends the traditional study of Dharma. Yes, like he crafts his own way. Then, as a writer, I had to, I didn't want to give away the story. So, for him, Tompo will, like while Kathok will learn his Dharma through text, he will live Dharma. For example, when they, when they leave the village, he would be the one carrying the entire luggage. So when they reach there, he will not get Lama's audience, but Kathok will get Lama's audience. So the Lama will straight away say, I had a dream of, like a great bodhisattva coming to this monastery, carrying the Buddha statue. So this is also a subtext. I was saying that Tompo was already a bodhisattva, because here what happens is even Lama will think that Lama will not think about the bodhisattva. Lama will only think about the gold statue that he would have seen in his dream.
And yes.
It was carried by a great bodhisattva, and Kathok will think that it is him. But because it was carried, even though it was a statue, it was carried by Tompo.
Yes.
So I was subtly saying that he's already a bodhisattva there, except that he doesn't know, and nobody knows.
Exactly.
So that kind of subtext I had, I built under the layer.
And also, beside the characters, I found really interesting how you have managed in this book to showcase different characters of lamas, because eventually we're talking about disciples and students and lamas, but then we also have here high lamas who are abbots of monasteries.
Yes.
We have about, if I'm correct, 3 or 4.
Yes.
And one of them is expecting the honors and the serving and the offerings for Lama.
Yes.
Whether it is a play of protocol or whether it is not, still he's kind of he denigrates and stigmatizes Tompo, basically the bodhisattva. Say, okay, he didn't even come to give offering. And then there are other lamas who are willing to break through and say, okay, just let me give this fellow a chance to see what he's capable. And at that time, also, it just happens that eventually one of them gets sick. So again, the bodhisattva comes into the picture and can help it. And then other lamas who are seeing through the eyes with wisdom and emptiness, they kind of say, there is a bodhisattva here, there is a highly enlightened being amongst us here, and everybody thinks it's him,
yes,
the Lama, or Kathok.
Yes.
And actually it's not.
Yes.
It's the little one who from the very early beginning has been really working hard to trying to make his way into the Dhamma, and he was already in the Dhamma before.
Yes.
He just couldn't see it.
Yes.
So it's not just the characters, it's also on the theater play, I would say. There also is, and there are lamas like this. There are lamas who expect to have honors and things, and then it's also the quality of teachers to have humility. It's not just qualities of Dhamma practitioners, disciples, but also the qualities of teachers to have humility and listening skills, patience, and see through the capacities of the students. So you have a number of characters there. If you can give some final comments and an encouragement for readers.
Maybe I will just add on the technicality of writing only, and through that add along the same line to the technicality of the writing process, and then tell you, I just didn't only want to write a good story, but I also wanted to have an overarching theme which should resonate with everyone. So that was karma, because I always Actually, I have been working on the concept of karma, integrating concept of karma into the toolkit of storytelling, because karma affects the characters' abilities to do certain things. So I am devising a story for the protagonist from where the Tompo would begin with no dharma and transcend the traditional dharma and reach the very end. How does that happen? So a journey without path. I picked on a theme of karma in integrating into the woven into the narrative. The premise in terms of theme is in the workings of karma. It is often not as it appears. Sometimes you will think that you have good things going on, but this thing in actuality could be the precursor for bad things to come. Likewise, a fortune today may bring a misfortune tomorrow. Likewise, a misfortune today will bring a fortune tomorrow. So I had Tompo's character woven within this premise. He will think that he is an unfortunate person with so much of karmic baggage. Nothing will go right for him. He will only suffer. Actually, what is happening is it is not his bad karma that is blocking his path, but it is his good karma that is creating a condition for him to creating a condition for him to open his third eye and ultimately make that a hyper jump and make the journey from no dharma to beyond dharma.
Yeah, that's very nice. That's a very good point. Actually, we could say that it's a journey without path, and follow your trust in your karma.
Yes.
And don't make life too complicated. Don't make your mind more complicated than it is. And also take action to understand your karma with what it shows you and how you can transform your karma in everyday action. Because he does put a few efforts into place. He says, okay. He does meet people who help him understand that he really doesn't have a good karma. He really doesn't have to think that he has a bad karma. So he gets a lot of encouragement, and that also is he has to trust in that.
Yes.
He has to develop the trust for that. It's a fabulous book. I would encourage everyone to read it, even though they don't know much about karma, about dharma. They will learn a lot from it. Thukten.
Thank you, Asoka. Thank you for reading the book and doing this review.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
I really love the book. I didn't want it to finish.
Okay,
now you need to write another one for us to do.
Yes, I have several other stories. I will definitely do my second book very soon.
And this also, you are one of the creators found.
Thank you.
To maintain Bhutan creation energy up and about.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye.